So from kind of the hope and the power of trans people being displayed this month so far, we're moving on to what is one of the hardest and the most difficult parts of Trans Awareness Month, and that is Trans Day of Remembrance tomorrow. One of the things that has happened, as I mentioned before at the top of our program, is that 2020 is the year in which more trans people have been murdered than any other year on record. There's so many reasons for that, but one of the things that is clear about the facts that so many people are not longer here is that they leave behind friends and loved ones. And so often in the way that the deaths of trans people of color are covered, we never are able to hear the voices of those loved ones, meaning that we don't really fully see them as humans, which of course contributes to how those people are no longer with us in the first place. And that's why I wanted to speak tonight with Melania Brown, who is the sister of Layleen Polanco, an Afro-Latinx woman who died in custody at Rikers Island last June. I first interviewed Melania last year and wanted to sit down with her 1 year later to talk about her journey, her family's journey, and what she's just learned about trans people in America. Thank you, Melania, for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me and sharing your space with me once again.
Of course. I appreciate it. Sharing space with you is easy. First, I'm wondering if you can just remind us of Layleen's case. What happened to her last June?
So Layleen, she was Layleen Polanco. I'm Layleen's Polanco older sister, Melania Brown. My sister she caught a seizure while being held in solitary confinement at Rikers Island. Rikers knew about her medical condition. She even caught several seizures before they decided to place her back into solitary confinement. And against all medical objectives of keeping her out, Rikers still decided to place her in solitary confinement simply because of her gender identity. It was nothing else. It was now that I could speak more on the case, there was evidence brought up that emails were going back and forth that they didn't know how to house my sister. So that cat is out of the hat. So my sister basically died for just being who she was, being true to herself. It cost her life. My sister died last year on June 7th, 2019.
One of the most excruciating things about her death and why it's so illustrative of why we have so many trans people who aren't with us right now is just how callous the guards were at Rikers about her. They were callous about her medical condition, callous about her seizing, and callous about her in death. Not being properly respectful of her and her life. You mentioned how seeing that and knowing that on top of her death put a huge hole for your family. And I'm just wondering if you can just talk about how that's impacted your family still 1 year later and how everyone's doing. How are you doing? How are Layleen's nieces doing? How's your mom doing?
Crying is our new norm. Roller coaster emotions, not knowing how you're gonna wake up the next day is our new norm. My daughters, they dealing with emotions. They miss their aunt. They were those were her best friends. Like they weren't even had that aunt and niece relationship. They were best friends. They miss her very much. My mom, she's broken. Crying for her is normal now. Seeing how the video was released and watching those correctional officers laughing while she was taking her last breath was very disturbing, and it was out there for the world to see our pain and to share what we were going through, and yet nothing happens. The state hasn't done anything. The government hasn't done anything. The only thing that we received were broken promises from the mayor. I'm gonna call them broken promises because those were promises that he made as far as ending solitary confinement. And we're in October, and he used my sister's name in vain to push it out there and grab the people's attention, because at the time, everybody, my sister she still is a big movement, you know, which I also would like for her not to be just a movement, because she is a human. But he used her name, he used her platform to grab people's attention, and he has yet to do anything about that. So my family and I, we're not okay. I don't think we're ever going to be okay. Laylene was like the rock. They usually, you know, you always have a rock in the family that keeps the family pieced together, and she was that rock for us, and we don't have her no more. So it's a big hit for you know, all of us. We're still grieving. We miss her. We're always going to miss her. Yeah, so I take it day by day, and I'm trying not to cry, but it's hard. It's really hard because I don't care, like, what they needed to understand is, however they viewed her, that was, first of all, that was an opinion, their own personal reasoning of how they viewed her, but she belonged to someone, you know. She was our human, she was our person. Like, it's not okay for you to rip people out of other people's life because you're not okay with the way that they're living their own life. It just makes no sense to me to this day. So we're still going through it.
What do you have to say to people who say or act as if trans people aren't connected to people who love them, you know, are you know, somehow aren't human? I'm always struck by, in so many of these cases, when you read about perpetrators, that the perpetrators don't think that they did anything wrong. They don't think that there's anybody who loved the people that they have taken. And I'm wondering, what do you have to say to that? Like, what if you had to say something to those people, what would that be? Because it's common.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that it's very, just the way of their thinking is very inhumane. It's not humankind. You know, these are humans we're talking about. Like scratch everything everything else, that we're talking about human being life, you know. And they be, like I said, these are our loved ones. Like, you know, you have loved ones out there. Like, it's not okay because you feel some type of way. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel like a lot of people that attacked the LGBTQ youth is because they're not comfortable in their own sexuality. They're not comfortable to come out. So they hate on those that do have that strength, because it takes a lot to be truly yourself. It takes a lot of strength to be exactly who you are meant to be. And I feel like these other people out there hurting the you know, the community and stuff like that, I feel like you need to stop. Like, they're humans. Like, you're hurting. Like, look at me. Like, they took my sister away from me, and she was someone big in my life. Like, you know, she was my little sister, but I looked up to my little sister. She was my little sister that was my big sister. Like, stop it. Like, there's no, if you don't have to like it. You don't have to be around it, but you will have to learn to respect it. Respect other people's space. Back up. It's not your life. Like, let people live and let people be who they're meant to be. Like, I just feel like, you know, if any of these people are listening, which I'm sure a lot of them tune in to things like this, like, just back off, go drink your water and mind your business. Whatever other people do in their life is not affecting you. Whatever they decide to do with their own their temple, because these are our body that God, Allah, gave to us. I'm Muslim. Allah gave me this body, and this is my temple. Who are you to tell me or anyone how to live their life? Like, there has to be something very mental, something really going on in there, something really bad that you need help, that you need to go out your way to hurt someone that's not doing anything to hurt your life. Like, just stop. Like, enough is enough. And I had enough, and I'm sure a lot of people had enough, you know. And this goes to a lot out there, which I want to also put out there, because there's a lot of, that I've noticed this whole time of doing this activism work, a year and a half after my sister passing, that I've noticed that there's a lot of hypocrites, a lot of them out there, because they'll go out there and they'll scream Black Lives Matters, right? Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. But what about Black trans lives? Like, what about them? They're freaking Black too. They're Black. So you want us to go out there and scream to help you, but you're doing exactly what you don't want people to do to you. You can't scream help Black Lives Matter and yet you're hurting another life. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever to me. It makes no sense. Like, you guys need to back off. You guys need to, like, accept life for what it is, and we all live with our truth, and we are all gonna live by it, die by it. If it's not affecting you, mind your business. You don't have to be around anything that you don't like. You don't have to be around any conversations that you don't want to be around. But guess what? You do have to respect people's space, and that's what I have to say. Like, I could say a lot more, but I'm gonna keep the floor back to you.
Enough is enough, I think, is all we should ever have to say. One last question is about your activism. There's so many ways that we can respond to grief and to pain, but one of the ways that you have responded to tragedy in your family is by standing up for trans people, for demanding changes in the criminal justice system, to an end to mass incarceration, to an end to solitary confinement. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about your activism and why you chose that, because honestly, not everyone who loses someone, even as tragically as you did, does that. And that's what you've done with your life since last June.
Well, honestly, I was never like a type of person like to speak in front of big crowds or even be around them. Like, I get very nervous and I shut down. But my first rally that I had, it was with the Anti-Violence Project. They got in contact with the family, and 3 days later, I had a mic in my hand, and it was very, I was very nervous. I was very scared. I had Eliel, by my side the whole time, which he has been helping me develop, and so I still have a lot of more work to do because this is all new to me, but he has helped me develop into, this activist, and he's still teaching me how to express myself. To me, it helps me grieve. It helps me, just going out there and just when I go out there and I'm getting goosebumps. When I go out there and I speak and I see so many humans, this community come together, and so much love and so much hugs and so much it just feels so right, and just to have all that love, that helps me to know that I'm out there spreading my sister's story, which can help many other, women. It helps me, like, just knowing that, her death didn't go in vain, and good things could, it was horrible what they did to her, but if good things could come out of it and her death didn't go in vain, then that helps me. It just, to me, it's a grieving thing. Like, when I come together and I see such a big community that comes and they stand up for what's right, and they come out to hear my sister's story, and it feels like, I was just telling my therapist this last week. It feels like a safety blanket. Like I'm home. Like they got me. Like I could fall here and I'm okay. Like they're hearing me. Like, it's and a lot of people that come out, they're going through these things that themselves. They're going through, certain the same things that my sister went through, like, they still going through it, or they've been through it. And, just if I could be that to me, because a lot of the conversations that come out, you know, throughout the whole year, I got called a cisgender. I didn't even know what that was until, like, you know, I didn't even know. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know what it was, but I've been called things like, you know, but to me, it's okay. If you want to call me, I don't really, like, I don't really, you know, talk about my gender identity or what I do with my personal life, because I am me, like, you know what I'm saying? And everybody's different. But if I could be that little line of like hope between this world that we're trying to get to understand that we are all humans and we're all in the same human race. If I could be that you know, that little line, like that could bring everything together, to me, that's more than enough. To me, that's healing. To me, that's helping me. Not only am I helping heal, but it's helping me. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Honestly, it's like a whole bunch of emotions, but I do know that I love what I do, and I love going out there. I love screaming to the top of my lungs, marching down the city. Like, it just helps me release so much anger, because at first, honestly, my mind was everywhere. Like, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to, like, go after whoever did whatever to my sister. Like, you know, normal human thoughts when you lose someone that was very close to you. Okay. And then I started learning that, why would I do that? No, I'm going to let you do what you do. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to observe, and I'm going to come with a stronger strategy. I'm going to knock your whole show down, your whole plan down. I'm not going to hurt you. I could hurt you in a way that's legal, and you can't do anything about it. Like, you know, like, just my activism work, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the Anti-Violence Project. I'm extremely grateful for LEL, because it has helped me so much. Honestly, if I didn't have this, I probably would have been like in a mental institute right now. Like, I have my moments. I had multiple mental breakdowns. I don't even know how I could still, you know, speak and talk and function as a human after so many mental breakdowns. But I'm extremely grateful for my work, and I'm here. This is me. This is my path. This is a purpose that my sister gave me. And like I always say, they took my sister, they killed my sister, because my sister didn't die. They killed my sister, but my sister knew I needed love, and my sister made sure that she sent the whole community my way, and I'm loved. And if I'm loved, you guys are loved by me, and you know, and I'm gonna continue to fight. I'm gonna continue to do what's right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know I speak for everyone, where we are thankful for you and your work, and grieve alongside of you the loss of your sister, and are sending you and your family all the best for what is going to be another hard holiday season. But I'm so grateful that you came on tonight, and for any time that I get a chance to talk with you. Thank you so much, Melania.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Bye. Good night. That was Melania Brown, who is the sister of Layleen Polanco, an Afro-Latinx woman who died in custody at Rikers Island, the nation's largest jail, last year. We'll be right back.